Welcome back to Maximum News. 10 years, Sybe. We have been waiting 10 years for the next Grand Theft Auto installment. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in September of 2013. I remember very fondly standing outside a Future Shop on midnight to get my copy of that game so I could play a little bit of it before I had to go to school the next day. I was in university at the time. And that game changed my life. Honestly, I have a hard time choosing between GTA 5 and GTA San Andreas as to which one is my favorite. So in my top 10 list of all time, GTA 5 and GTA San Andreas are sort of side by side. I love GTA 5 to pieces. Despite all the problems, obviously, that it has with like shark cards and online stuff, I have put more hours into that game and I've had more fun with that game more than any other multiplayer game ever. And it seems to be a common sentiment for most people that have played the game because the hype for the next installment has been through the roof. So much so, especially in the last few days leading up to the official announcement of GTA 6 with the trailer that was going to be releasing, like people trying to leak stuff beforehand. And that's exactly what happened. Originally, we were supposed to be getting the trailer for GTA 6 tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday, December the 4th. And Rockstar released a teaser image a few days ago saying that the trailer would release at 9 a.m. on December 5th. But because people are dirtbags, they tried to release it early on TikTok because, it's all about that clout. And even before that, it looked like a son of a certain Rockstar employee was trying to show off footage from the game to try and get clout, because that's the era that we live in. And it's kind of meta for what it seems like this game is going for, but we'll talk about that in a second. But anyways, Rockstar had to release the trailer early. So it's Monday now. I looked it up on YouTube. I opened up YouTube. It's like, oh, of course they had to release it a day early. Somebody leaked it. Okay, well, anyways, that just means we get to see the trailer a day earlier than expected. So I watched it, son. And before I get to my thoughts about it, I gotta detail something that's kind of just, I don't know how to, I can't emotionally process this. So we're recording this 4 hours after the trailer premiered, right? At this moment, the trailer has on Rockstar's YouTube channel 28 million views. Now, to put that into context, the Fallout TV trailer, which we're also going to be talking about in a moment, well, in 20 minutes, that released 2 days ago on Prime Video's YouTube channel. That has 8 million. So, within 4 hours, GTA 6's announcement trailer, a minute and a half long, got 4 times the number of views that the Fallout TV trailer has gotten in 2 days. That's how off the chain the hype is for GTA 6. It is easily the most anticipated game of all time. I know that's a big statement to make, but I think it's pretty fair to say given these types of numbers. And the question is, though, should we have reason to be this excited? Well, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, key figures from Rockstar leaving over the past few years, stuff going on with Take-Two. Obviously, we've talked a lot about that on the channel. But at the end of the day, what matters is, do we get a good game? And can we glean anything about the quality of the game from the trailer? Well, let's get into that. I watched the trailer 4 times, Sybe. How many times have you watched it?
Once,
okay. So, off the bat, the thing that really stands out to me, and I think is going to be consistent when we get to play this game in 2025, which is the release date that we got, and we'll talk about that in a second, but off the bat, what stood out to me with this trailer, side is the graphics. Oh my god, the graphics for this game look amazing. The character models look fantastic. The Vice City skyline, and it's set in Vice City, but we already knew that. The Vice City skyline looks amazing. Mm. Anything in this trailer that is zoomed out looks borderline real.
Yeah, it's the depth of what we're seeing is huge. It's massive.
It's revolutionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really shocked by I'm like, wow, these graphics look really good. Now, we know more than most not to be oversold on a trailer.
Yeah, of
because
course.
that has burned us personally. That's burned us personally a few times, quite a few times.
Yeah.
And it's really rough, but it's not as bad as, you know, this isn't, they don't have a bad track record. Obviously what we're seeing, I think we can reasonably expect to get. And I am very interested in where is this going to go with multiplayer in the future, which I don't think they're releasing on release, but just like the world that you have in the last release is like, they have some really cool tech, they have some really cool stuff. There's some really amazing RP communities that like everybody like plays a role and sticks with it, and that's amazing. So yeah, I'm really excited about this game in the sense that like it has so much potential both on release and for, I mean, you know, we talk about how it's been a decade, but they've been keeping that game flush with content for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's really good, because that means like it's gotten, I think, doesn't it have more DLC than Skyrim has?
Yeah, more free DLC, which they've been able to fund because of the shark cards, which, you know, whatever your opinions are on that, but anyways.
So I don't know. I'm hopefully positive.
Yeah. Okay, so well, let's get into a little bit more detail. But before we move on from graphics, a couple of notes that I wrote down here. The greenery and the animals that they showed off. We got to see like egrets and whatever the hell those flying creatures are. We see dolphins going like in formation, going up out of the water. I don't know if we're actually going to see that in the game, but it looked cool, and it's interesting to speculate about. And it's like you and I both played Red Dead Redemption 2, right? You played RDR2?
No, I didn't play
You didn't play? Oh, okay. Well, oh, geez, dude. But anyways, the point I was going to make is like how amazing that game looked and looks right now, especially with its wildlife and greenery and its animal life, which is the same as wildlife. I don't know why I said that twice.
Hey, the wildlife in GTA 6 looked amazing.
Yes,
you had all the people on the side, you know, watering their lawn and their thongs and Speedos, and
then the crocodile pops out of the
oh, sorry, no, I was talking wildlife as in the people being animals. Because,
right. Yeah, they are acting like that, and I actually have some stuff to say about that in a second. And then just one last thing on the graphics front. I noticed there's a game developer that I've been following for several years, a gentleman named Tim Soray. He put out a few tweets on one thing that I didn't really notice at first, but this is a good example of sort of what the new standard GTA 6 is looking to set in regards to graphics. There's this one shot of a woman turning around, like she's on a balcony, and she's wearing a bikini. And what a lot of people probably didn't notice is that her hair, it actually collides with her body. Now, for years...
I noticed that right away.
Yeah.
I noticed that right away. And I can also tell you her bikini was white, and there was a plane flying in the background. Because, I noticed those kinds of things.
Right. That's what autistic people like us do. We notice specific details like that. But just... I don't know if people pay attention, other people pay attention to these sorts of things as much as we do, Cy, but the fact that the individual strands of her hair are colliding with her body is huge, technologically and graphically speaking. For up until very recently, like still, we'll have people's hair, the character model's hair, in almost every game made will clip through a person's body. So like disappear inside a person's body if they move around too much. To see something like this is next level. And I hope that this will just be one of many examples to come. So that's all I have in terms of graphics. I cannot believe this. And keep in mind, it's 2023 now, the end of 2023. This game is coming out in 2025. It could look even better. Maybe not by much, maybe like 5 or 10%. But that 5 or 10% goes a long way. And, I can't wait. All right. Now, the other major thing that I want to look at is sort of what it seems like the theme of this game is. So when GTA 5 came out, it was sort of post the Great Recession. There's a lot of storylines centered around people going bankrupt and having to foreclose on their homes, and just the rich and degenerate people making profit off of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
With GTA 6, the question has sort of been like, okay, well, now that we live in a more politically correct environment and people are afraid of offending people, what sort of angle was the famously politically incorrect franchise Grand Theft Auto going to take? Well, the answer is obvious, and I don't know why I didn't realize it. TikTok culture. That's something everybody likes to make fun of, and that's exactly what they're going to do in this game. Yep. And it's intriguing. Like we see, in the trailer, it's just shots of like a TikTok style video where it's recorded with their phone, the captions at the bottom, and people doing degenerate stuff. Right? Like people recording shock content, or people recording people with rich, lavish lifestyles, and just the cringiness of all that. It's hard to say.
Hey, I'm in my Ferrari in my garage today. Let me tell you how I made all this money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and if you give me $100, I'll teach you the same thing.
Yeah, just influencer style culture, which I hope I cannot wait to see how Grand Theft Auto 6 takes the piss out of that. One thing that I'm a little bit curious about is how that's going to intertwine with the two characters that they're setting up. I think the female character's name is Lucia, if I recall correctly, and I think the male character's name is Jason. I'll double check that in a second. It doesn't really seem like they would, like, the lifestyles that they're living, they would be particularly interested in that sort of thing. Like how they would sort of get themselves involved with it. I don't know. But look, Michael was sort of like a boomer type character in GTA 5, and he got involved in like all the modern like Facebook and stuff like that. So they'll find a way, but I'm just interested. And finally, just on those two main characters, it seems like the rumors were obviously true. They're sort of going for like a modern day Bonnie and Clyde thing, which I'm all about. And pretty much it. Saib, this is how you do an announcement trailer. You do it in-game, using in-game models, in-game graphics, just giving us not too much, but just enough to whet our appetite and keep us salivating for the next trailer, which is probably going to come in the next 6 to 8 months. I love it.
I'm almost positive that we're going to get one at the Game Awards.
Really?
I really think so. I'm positive that they're going to say there's going to be an announcement. It's like, hey, we're going to have more at the Game Awards, and it'll be like another minute or two clip, basically showcasing the same thing, or it'll be the exact same trailer. I think they'll have a slightly different trailer because Keeley really, 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 really wants that.
Yeah, the best I could maybe say is they do like a shortened version of the trailer that we have, or just the full version again. I don't see them showing more footage, like just a couple days after that, because that would just take attention away from the trailer, which people are just going to be gawking over for the next week or so. Why take? Well, I don't know. I mean, I love it, but we'll see. And then so your overall impression of the trailer, Side?
I think it's good. I think just overall, what we're seeing is a positive move towards this release, and I don't think that they're going to make the same mistake that other larger studios have made. I'm not going to tell you go out and pre-order it.
No, don't pre-order
unless
anything.
You're collecting a physical collector's edition. They're rich enough; they don't need to sit on your $80 to $100 for the next. When did they say it was coming out?
2025.
Yeah, so could be 2 years.
Yeah,
like could be 2 years. Pretty sure that's not needed.
Well,
so
yeah, just to put things just to add a little bit of context to that. When GTA 5 was first announced, it was announced 2 years before it eventually came out. So it might be end of 2025, and you know what? I'm fine with that. That's fine.
Yeah. At least we'll hopefully we'll start to get more info on it. Hopefully they'll start to involve the community in some aspect of the game to like do tests and make sure that it's it's heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think that I think they'll do it right. Obviously, it's like they're a solid team there. They really are. They don't tend to make big blundering mistakes.
Right.
So
yeah, if it'll be anything like GTA 5, there'll be 2 more trailers between now and 2 months before the game comes out. And then 2 months before the game comes out, they'll show a whole bunch of gameplay, like do it like a huge gameplay deep dive into the main campaign. And then they'll do one for the next iteration of GTA Online. And that's going to be interesting. Oh my God. But yeah, overall, really impressed. I cannot wait to see what more we get from this. And only 2 more years we have to wait. And yeah, very excited. So, ladies and gentlemen, what did you think of the GTA 6 trailer? Let us know in the comment section below. Do you like it? Is there anything about it that you disliked? Yeah, just leave any thoughts in the comment section below. Now, obviously that had to be the number one big story that we had to talk about. But obviously, we also have to talk about this, because if anybody knows anything about Syb, they know that he is one of the biggest Fallout fans on the planet. And we finally got our first trailer for the upcoming Amazon-produced Fallout TV show. Syb, I've not heard a single thing about your thoughts on this trailer. I am dying to hear what you think. Go.
I think that this show is going to be special. I think that this show is going to be the thing that helps. Like, Fallout's always been, excuse me, Fallout's always been, I think personally, a sleeping giant. Because Westerns and the cowboy genre are, they're ever present. The Superman, hero story is almost always present. The gritty, dark world that we watch, heroes, go through and live in, that's something that is always popular. And you have all of these things in this game. You have this, it is a very Western sense, because it's not Western as in like, the aesthetics of the cowboy, although you do have some cowboy hats and you do have, obviously you got gunslingers and stuff like that. But the thing that you have that sets this apart and better than most Westerns is that you're not restrained to the time, right? Like, you're not restrained to the past. Like, this is old technology, new technology, advanced technology, all living in the same place. You have you have people raising Brahmin, which are 2-headed cows, and you've got other people doing other things, and it's really it's a full, deep, big world. And Bethesda, they should have done this sooner, I think, because it was totally possible. And there's been so many fan projects that have done such a good job of this. And I think that it could, and there's always room for it to be better. And the storytelling of the Master, the storytelling of Fallout 1 and 2, it's like, those are really good stories that you could put into, like, that's like cinema bait. It's like, it's right there. It's so available. And I think we're finally getting it. I don't think that the show is going to be like the best media that you'll see all year, but I think that it'll be one of the best, and it'll definitely be one of the best gaming media things that you'll see all year. And the options that starts, that kickstarts, the stylistic approach, the retro futurism, all of that stuff is just, it's all it needs is, it's been gasoline for the longest time. All it's needed is a spark or a match, and it'll go off. So I don't think this is the biggest thing. Obviously, it's not as big as some other IPs out there, but it's always had the potential to be, if people just connected with it right and told the story right and opened it up. And I'm really hoping that this really takes off. It really, really takes off. Because then that means that Microsoft will, go, hey, we can do TV. Because right now we do need more options. We do need more choices. We do need more competitors, because Hollywood's had such a stranglehold for so long that everything's samey and feels the same.
Yeah.
But everything's felt samey for so long. But now we can finally move away from that and go into a different direction of like just being able to experience and being able to see something that's good, that's interesting, and that feels, good and smooth and coherent and sexy and that sexiness that Westerns have, where it's like guy walks out with the gun on his hip, and it's like that's that old school kind of thing that always like attracted a lot of people to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm hoping for. It looks good, like it really does look quite good.
Yeah.
The ghouls are a little bit a little too smooth skinned, but again, for television, and I made this point before with multiple different things. When you're dealing with like something that's really, really, really ugly, you can only, what's that one creature? It was like a puppet creature, but it was frothing at the mouth. It was
in Fallout?
No. It was in a movie somewhere. It was like, it's an older movie from like the 90s and the 80s. I want to say Labyrinth, but I don't think I'm thinking of the right one.
I don't think so.
But there's this, like, whenever you have ugly creatures, like really ugly creatures, they're only good for short usage because people tend to not, it's hard to like stare at something that's really but ugly for a long period of time.
Yeah. I could barely look at Moira from Fallout 3 for too long before wanting to turn away. That mustache, come on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a question of like, how do they balance it right? There'll be issues with people that, people take with the lore and the other stuff. But I think this is the opportunity that this IP needs, because it's not just Bethesda anymore. It could be any of the studios at Microsoft. And as long as they do it right, as long as they do it good. And again, I want to see not just, the next Fallout. I want to see more things that have different gameplay. Like, I really think that having a settler system type game, like there is a couple post-apocalyptic ones, but where you control a settlement and you're trying to like, get it up. And they had that in
Fallout Shelter.
Pretty good, but it's like
above ground and more complex.
I want to see more complexity. I want to see more intrigue. Frostpunk is a great example of like a story that can go south really fast, right? And I want to see more of that kind of stuff in the Fallout universe. I want to see other things in the Fallout universe. I think one of the things I'd love to see, what's one of the oldest, best games that you know of off the top of your head? Like we're talking like early.
Ultima?
No, like way sooner than that. Like we're talking DOS based, but everybody knows it. Settlers going to
the
Oregon Trail, right?
Yeah.
And that's a game that, I mean, you literally do have like caravan things that happen, and it's like redoing, that game in that context, but in the Fallout context, it's begging to be done. It's begging to be added and created, and having all these cool options thrown in there and things that you just like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. No,
this is so crazy.
I completely agree with you, Syb. Like all the potential for like mass market appeal and using a property and all the different mediums that are available to you, it's a money maker that is just waiting to be exploited. And unfortunately, I don't think any studio has gotten there close enough yet. I think the closest you could say probably is for something like maybe Sonic or The Last of Us. But unfortunately, there's enough, as much as there's a lot of good in those franchises, there's enough bad where it hasn't really taken off and sort of been loved globally because of its consistent quality. However, with Fallout, even though, you have like Fallout 76 and, there are certain games that people love in the Fallout universe over others, it's in a place where if they can take this TV show, which already, I love the trailer. It seems like they're absolutely nailing right on the head exactly what the tone should be for a Fallout TV show. All they need to do is make the writing good. It doesn't even have to be great. It just has to be good enough that people are like, oh, okay, I'm looking forward to the next episode all the way into the end of the season. If you can do that, then Microsoft is setting themselves up, and Bethesda, to make Fallout like one of the flagship franchises, as popular as something like Grand Theft Auto. And I know what it means to say that, but I mean it. That all the chips are in place. They just had to get the writing good. And then they'll be able to branch off and hopefully really exploit the franchise, but exploit in the best possible way, so that we could get games like the ones that you were describing there, Side.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to the sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, and that's what the trailer makes me think about. It really does make me, when I look at it here, I'm pulling up the scene with the stormtrooper in the helicopter. That's great, because that character, you've got the walking image and that and of course that's cool.
Yeah.
But when you have that guy sitting in there, and just that like, I'm expecting that character is going to be a cool, badass character, and I'm hoping that maybe it's a type of character where he never really takes off his helmet. It's like, that would be really cool.
Sure. Be more than what they did for Master Chief and Halo. Am I right, guys?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like that. You've got a bunch of other places where it's worked in the past. But yeah, the options, the depth, the directions that you can go, it's all there. And this show is lining this stuff up, keying this stuff up. I want them to introduce a ton of characters from this show that are part of the Fallout universe as it splinters out and goes into 100 different directions and grows. I think splinters maybe not a good word.
Right. No,
limbs. Yeah. It grows from, it limbs out and it grows in all these different directions, but has a coherent story that just kind of like keeps following and growing and getting there, because it makes sense, and it gives us that option. It gives us that feeling. Aesthetically, they really nailed the show. Like, they have really nailed the show. The aesthetics of this are really, really good, and it really, really works. But I want to see more. I want to see, how it grows from there, and what comes of it down the road, because it's really, really exciting to see.
Well, we don't have to wait much longer. It's April 12th release date, if I recall correctly. Does that sound right? I'll look that up too. I still have to look up the name of the dude from GTA 6.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
April 12th.
Gotcha.
April 12th. So we're counting down the months. We're counting down the months. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my bad. Officially, it seems like I'm looking at a Games Radar article for GTA 6. It seems like Lucia is the only one with a name officially. I'm pretty sure, like, unofficially, his name is Jason, but I don't know. Somebody in the comment section correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, Fallout trailer, off the chain. One thing I'll just mention that really made my heart smile when I was watching it. I just finished watching Lost with my wife. Like, we just went through all 6 seasons of that show. One of my favorite characters on that show is a character named Ben Linus. Very, very morally complex character. And the guy who plays him is Michael Emerson, and he is in the show, and I didn't know that. He's the guy with the glasses that's sitting at the campfire next to that chick that just emerged from the vault. He is awesome, and him being attached to a Fallout show, it makes me very, very happy. But of course, you got Walton Goggins playing the Ghoul. You got that guy from Twin Peaks who's in there, which is really dope. And it looks like they have a variety of other talent attached to this, including Jonathan Nolan behind Westworld. Yeah. I'm pumped, dude. I look forward to April 12th. It's another video game related property that, because 2024 compared to 2023 is going to look like a bit of a drought. But this is just another thing to put under things that I'm really anticipating. Anything else before we just move on to the last topic?
No. Just I'm really excited for it. This gave me the hope because I've been worried that they're not going to do it right. It's going to be terrible. I still don't know what the storyline, and obviously storyline is king. Mm-hmm. But hopefully we'll get it. It'll feel good. It'll look awesome. And here's to that. It's
yeah.
Hopefully, I really hope it's going to be good.
Hopefully, it'll be like the Rings of Power in terms of looks, but not in story. Hopefully, it's more like The Boys in terms of story. And writing. I've never watched that show, but anybody I've ever heard talk about that show says it's just amazing. I really got to check it out. Anyways, Guys, what did you think of the Fallout TV trailer? Any thoughts, criticisms, praises? We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. All right, and then we're just going to finish on this little news piece. It's sort of a dry news week this past week, guys, just because it's leading up to the Game Awards and it's also leading up to the end of the year, so it's not going to be as dense. And yeah, we're going to talk about all the stuff from the Game Awards next week. So we're just going to end on this little bit of news. It's something that it's a little bit of bad news, but I don't think it should. Like the awesomeness of the GTA 6 and Fallout TV trailer shouldn't make this piece of bad news totally make you just feel depressed. It's just something that's important to talk about. So we're constantly talking about how physical media is dying out. Maybe not, like we talked about this last week. It's probably not going to die out completely for the next 10 years, but it's coming. I think this is the first year that has been recorded. I think it was statistics coming out of Best Buy. I'm probably getting this wrong, but I'm getting the general sentiment right in that this is the first year that digital media has succeeded the sales of physical media. So it's coming. And what people are mainly worried about is that if they don't own physical copies, that means that they don't necessarily own the stuff that they buy completely. So if you're buying something to watch on a streaming service, who knows whether or not you'll be able to still access that content in 20 years from now, right? So unfortunately, we're starting to get inklings of that sort of thing actually coming to pass. And we got a bit of a news story to share in regards to how that applies to Sony. So up until recently, PlayStation enabled you to buy movies and television. And I think they took that function away recently. Saib, correct me if I'm wrong or not. But I think I'm right. And unfortunately, one of the things that's going to complicate whether or not people can continue to own the stuff that they bought digitally is licensing agreements. At the moment, licensing agreements have lapsed when it comes to some of Discovery TV's content. So what this means is that if you bought stuff like Mythbusters, or Naked and Afraid, or I think Say Yes to the Dress, and Cake Boss is all stuff that for some reason is on Discovery. If you bought that, pretty soon you're not going to have access to it anymore because let's see. This is a quote that was I'm taken from Kotaku, quote, "Due to our content licensing arrangements with content providers, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Discovery content, and the content will be removed from your video library." And that's it. It's gone.
Wow.
So all that money that you sent, yeah.
That is absolutely mental.
So, Saib, I want your more detailed thoughts on this, but before I get them, I'm just going to ask to sort of answer this particular question while you're giving those thoughts. Do you think that as we slide more towards digital, that people are going to start realizing that they don't really own their content and that there's going to be maybe a surge in people trying to get their hands on physical copies again?
Not until there's a shake-up moment.
Right.
Yeah, not until there's a shake-up moment. Once the shake-up moment happens where it's like a bunch of people lose a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Once that happens, then it's going to be like there's going to be companies and people who come out and say, "No, we're selling content the old-fashioned way." And this is like, I cannot stress, if we keep heading towards the digital only license group, encrypted, everything is encrypted and only special people who own it or have it can access it, that will be the death of humanity at some point in the future. Because all it's going to take is one solar storm, and every possible medical treatment, every possible life-saving innovation, technology, everything is just going to be gone. And whatever copies remain are going to be behind an encrypted, impossible to decrypt lock, and we go right back to the Stone Age. I know some people are probably rolling their eyes right now, but That is legitimately a fear that I have, that is just, it's been there for so long.
Yeah.
The without having a physical copy of some data that you can access without having to bypass some kind of like deep encryption program, it's just going to fade. And we see this in older technology.
Yeah, big time.
We see this in what's a good example of this is, I think, it's SimCity 2. In SimCity 2, they had the game was encrypted, and you couldn't play the game unless you had this big thing, and it was like a book, and it was like, and every time it was like page 2, line 57, third word, and it's like you look at that, and there's a password that you have to type in. Without that book, you don't play the game. And when you go into physical places to get physical copies of old games, I guarantee you nobody has Civ 6. Or sorry, not Civ 6. SimCity 2. Because you just didn't have that option. And why they do that, it was because of piracy, and a bunch of idiots were talking about how, they're losing so many sales to piracy. And we now know that that's basically debunked. You don't lose a tremendous amount to piracy. You just don't. You lose like maybe like 1% of sales on the high end. And it's just been this fear that other people have been using for a really long time. But I cannot stress how important physical media is. And it's just been there for so long. And if you move it or lose it, you lose it. If you lose it permanently. And that's what I'm afraid. That's what I'm afraid for games. That's what I'm afraid for other things. And it kind of sucks. It's one of the reasons why I do support a lot of indie games where it's freeware, essentially. There's no decryption. There's no, whatever. It's the guy's on Patreon, and he's like, you give me this much a month, I will give you this is the content that you get. And that's the thing. That's the guide. That's the answer to that puzzle. And it's like, yes, we need that. We need that specifically, because that makes this so much more worth it. That makes this stuff last so much longer, is when it's just always there for you without having to go around in a crazy manner to try and get it. And it's like, it's just there's so much here. I want to talk about this for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
But because it's tied to other things. And that's the fear.
Yeah.
I really think I think that music's in danger. I think there's a ton of things. In Fallout, one of the reasons why there was a limit to technology, and there was a limit to music. Why? Because only music that was stored on certain tapes, because they were from an slightly older era.
Oh, wow.
Those were the only things that survived. So that was the music of that universe.
I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing where it's like, yeah, no, these people, they had the stuff, they had the technology, but they were just never able to access it, because it was just on a frame of technology that they could not access. And if we keep heading down that direction, we're going to hit a wall at some point. And that's not good. That's very dangerous, very, very, very fearful of hitting that, because this is what can happen. How many secrets have we lost in the past? Right? Like it was only finally this year that after I think it's been 2,000 years, or it might be 1,800 years, we finally found out how the Romans made their concrete. And like that, to me, it's just mental. So yeah, I'm really worried about this. I hope that digital media, and I praise places like Larian, where they're like, no, we're going to make physical copies, because the physical copies are so important. And I think backups and data backups. And again, I think that eventually this will happen, because eventually somebody's going to notice and go, oh crap, if this happens, we lose everything. And then at that point, and what I'm hoping is that, in the future, every family or every person will just have a a little device at home that is completely devoid of needing to be connected to anything, and it will just give you all of the information you need. And you just all you have to do is just update it every once in a while. And then there's a hard reset button that you can press that just backs it up to factory ready.
Yeah.
And that you can use that to like progress and do stuff, because this generally worries me. And I know, and again, some people are rolling their eyes. It's just video games. It's not, because it's the same industry.
Yeah,
it's the same industry. It's the same
the consumable media industry. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I really do worry about that, and I hope it never happens, but it still is worrisome to me.
Well, we are tangibly on the road there, and I agree with you that if anything is going to change, there has to be a crucial moment where people sort of wake up all at once and try to push back on it, which I think will happen, because anytime there's any sort of societal change, there are people that are going to try and push back on it. The question is, what will that moment be big enough that a change in the market adopts to it and the preservation of physical media continues? I like to think that there will be, because even though people do stuff like buy stuff digitally for convenience, I think there are enough people that will care enough to keep that sort of thing alive. I mean, look at the medium of comic books, right? Comic books nowadays are like still limping along compared to where they used to be in the past, like 3+ decades ago. But they're still around because people want to keep the industry alive.
Yeah.
At least that's what it seems to be. And I think that's what's going to be the case with physical media. But call me an optimist. But yeah, it's just something to make sure that you guys are wary about and keep at the back of your minds in the years to come. But thankfully, we're not there yet, but it will come. But hopefully when we get there, we'll be ready. All right, guys, that does it for this, like probably the shortest episode that we've ever done of Maximum News ever. But yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was going to do a quick review of Season of Discovery in World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so it came out 5 days ago, 4 days, 5 days ago. Low level cap. I've already leveled the character to max level. Already been doing a whole bunch of grinding. Already have unlocked pretty much everything for the character. Because it is so low level, because it's so easy. Me and a buddy streamed for a few hours, and we got some alts all the way up to level 11, and it's fun and it's different, and it is genuinely amazing at how good this experience is. And I talk about this because this is a 20-year-old game. Because a 20-year-old game still has so much heart, so much fandom, so much love behind it, because there is just something about how it was made, how it was good. And it's kind of funny. It's like there's been a lot of changes in the retail version of WoW, the one that's current, the one that's new.
Yeah.
And they're making more and more changes to make the game more like what it was.
It used to be, right?
How it used to be, because they're like, oh, you know what? Guild connections, community, and your reputation as a person within the game to other players, that all has weight. When we remove those things as barriers, you don't get a better world. You get a less connected world, an empty world,
and that's
a
the
world
one thing
that feels like it's not whole.
Yeah, that's the one thing that World of Warcraft has always had over any other game. It's that sense of community. Yeah.
And now with I mean, just watching it. So the past few days, there has been, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 people watching live on Twitch and other places.
Oh, wow.
Watching live as people are discovering the Warlock tanking rune was a big one. The Paladin Divine Storm ability was another one, where these abilities were hidden and they didn't know how to get them. And the whole community was doing basically a treasure hunt, trying to figure out how to unlock them. And it was just the excitement, the streamers who were figuring things out and doing it on that PvP server that they're on, but it's a roleplay PvP server, so it's like if you're being an a-hat, then you can get banned from, your account could get suspended for breaking rules. And so these streamers are in character. They're people are walking up to them and they're engaging them in some role play. Like, it's like, oh, I found this rare treasure, good sir. Could you help me deal with with it? And the whole storyline that they've written out, and the streamers are engaging with it. This has been some of the best content I have seen in video gaming from streamers in years.
Yeah.
And again, why are we getting it? Why is this happening? It's happening because an old game that the developers went back to and said, what can we do to make people happy? What can we do to make people, to give people what they're asking for?
Yeah.
That's the question. And it's shocking that that's a question.
Right.
How have we gotten to the point where the question is, how can we listen to the players?
Yeah, it's like listen to the players to determine like what are the common complaints and extract the wisdom from. Oh, God, no, that can't be right. That's too obvious, right?
And that's why I'm excited about this, because it's the lesson not just to Blizzard, not just to Microsoft now who owns them, and not just to the former people who controlled the company, and who I'm talking about Activision.
It's anybody with
the damage that they've done, for a long time, and they really, really have done a lot of damage. They have caused so many problems. Why? Because they wanted to turn it into a cash cow.
The soulless cash cow,
and that desire basically like darn near ruined the company, not just the game, but the whole company, the IP and all that stuff. And this lesson is being taught now and is being shown now. And it's like, hey, here's a 20-year-old game that is now trending on number one in Twitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Repeatedly.
And it needs to be mentioned
days.
that like even very recently, as recently as a year ago, like World of Warcraft on streaming was barren, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for it to turn around to that degree, just by listening to the feedback that people are saying, it's hearing what you're saying, Saib, is really, really encouraging to me. I haven't played World of Warcraft in about a decade, but that game has a seriously special place in my heart just because of the unique experiences it gave me, and it's making me happy to hear that.
Yeah. So the Season of Discovery. This is now again this is the 20-year-old version. Slightly less because it was active for a few years and there were some minor changes throughout it as it went, and new content being added. This is the version that they've put out, not the version from Wrath, not something that from just a few years ago. They went all the way back, and people played that, they loved it. It grew in popularity, but then the two things that made it grow even more now have been the hardcore mode, where it's like you die, that's the end of it. And people watching that on the streamers, it's really funny because when you're watching a person play, it's like they mess up, they die.
Yep.
And then that's it. And then they got to start over from the graveyard. And these are characters that you'll put like 100, 200, 300 hours into, and you just get wiped. And it's like, that sense of loss has been just so engaging for the community.
Because like a child. Not to that degree, obviously, but
and it's like that's really cool. So people have cried when their character dies, but you can move them to the other servers. It's fine, but I mean it's not fine, but it's like you don't lose them permanently. They're just dead. Sure. But the direction that they're heading in with this, with some of the other modes that they've got coming, with some of the sneak peeks that we've been seeing for the upcoming content, again, this is showing that gameplay is king. Not graphics, not fancy things, not microtransactions, just gameplay. Yeah. And if you want a million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million people to show up to your game, all you have to do is make good gameplay and tell the people that you respect them. Yeah. That's all you have to do.
It's really that simple.
And make a good game.
Right. Yeah, but
yeah.
Yeah, anyways, in regards to Blizzard, this is a very, very welcome piece of news. It's actually a good way to end the show because we were originally going to end on a dour note. But hopefully, as you were saying, Sai, Blizzard and Activision have done a lot to tarnish their reputation to the point of no return. But maybe if they can continue introducing this type of gameplay development ethic to the other popular IPs that they own, like like doing what they're doing with World of Warcraft and stuff like Overwatch or Diablo or whatever, then maybe like they could be a study in how not to do something, as well as a study in how to return from the point of no return.
Exactly.
Yeah. And on that note, guys, that does it for this episode of Maximum News. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this show. That helps us out a lot. Leave a comment on any or all the things that we talked about if you want to. I want to thank Syb, as always, for doing the show with me. Syb, do you have anything you want to plug before we conclude today?
No, we're if you've been watching, you're seeing lots of new content. We had just yesterday, we had our Zenless Zone Zero.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
sponsored by MiHoYo. Not sponsored. We didn't get paid for it. But they did give us early access to it.
Oh, cool.
Yes, we this is their beta access. It's a closed beta, so it's only a handful of people that get in. The game is got some. I believe they've got some challenges and some upgrades and some changes to come, because they've been asking a lot of those questions in the surveys that I've been taking part of, constantly wanting to know. And it's not a perfect game. It's very chill. It's very relaxing. Like, it genuinely is quite relaxing for me to play.
Yeah. And
it's a good de-stressor. But yeah, it's cool. It's got some stuff. And you know the nicest thing about this mode, this version of it, is that the microtransactions are turned off.
Hey, that's what's good.
And I cannot emphasize how beautiful the game is when you don't have that. When you don't have that pressure to buy. That, like, oh, look, if you just spend $100, you could get so many characters. It's like, I don't want that. And I'm so, like, it's amazing watching the game right now, just feeling the game and seeing the game and going, this is really genuinely quite amazing. And I think that this is the type of game that they have always been able to make, but that paywall, that microtransaction, that corporate greed that's there, that's the thing that hurts the game the most. And I think that just overall, we are going to see a good product come out from it. Again, if you can self-control and not really engage with the microtransaction.
Yeah. And, follow people that try to show you how to get around that. And you guys can just follow me on all the regular forms of social media, particularly my YouTube, just to @Max Derrat. At the end of this week, I'm going to have a video out on on a game that sort of blew up this year, a game called Fear and Hunger. Speaking of games that are very punishing, that'll be coming out on Friday for the public. So stay tuned for that. Until then, guys, and until we do this again next week, I want to remind you, as always and as per usual, stay yellow.
Goodbye.